At amfam.com/home for a quote and see if your insurance measures up. American Family Insurance. Insure carefully. Dream fearlessly.
American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin, 53783.
For details, contact Brett Throlson, agent at Brett Throlson Agency, Inc. Call 319-365-6499 or stop by 3407 Mount Vernon Road Southeast in Cedar Rapids today. Henry's Painting in Coralville is your premier source that offers free estimates, fair pricing, and quality work. Owner Henry Herrera is an Iowa City West alum that uses only Sherwin-Williams products for his projects. With cooler weather upon us, it's time to consider interior repaint jobs for your home or business. Henry's Painting can help you find and change your tones and colors for a refreshed look. Online at henryspaintingllc.com, Facebook, or give Henry a call at 333-2565. Henry's Painting. They don't cut corners, they paint them. AirFX in Hiawatha invites you to explore one of Iowa's largest trampoline parks. With over 40,000 feet of family fun for all ages and skill levels, you'll find wall-to-wall trampolines, jumping pits, laser frenzy, dodgeball, tumble tracks, trampoline basketball, miniature golf, a kid zone for the little ones, and so much more. AirFX offers corporate, team, and group parties. Check out their Facebook page and online at airfxcr.com. AirFX, Iowa's only homegrown, locally owned
From
park.
the Harty and Stalker Studios in the heart of the Hawkeye Nation, this is the mighty 1630 KCJJ, Iowa City.
Harty and Stalker Jewelers, making memories, making moments.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Areas of rain around this morning, a cloudy sky for the afternoon with a high in the low 50s, staying mild but breezy, wind gusts as high as 30 miles an hour. Tonight, mostly cloudy, low down to 35, and in the sunshine for tomorrow. Cooler day, though, with highs in the low 40s and still that strong breeze, gusts to 35 miles an hour. Even colder on Wednesday and Thursday with sunshine, high temperatures in the mid to upper 20s. That's your mighty 1630 KCJJ forecast.
We're sitting at 48 now.
Weather brought to you by the Westport Touchless Auto Washes at Walmart in Iowa City, Coralville's Hy-Vee. AllHawkeyes.com brought to you by Big Dog. Satellite and Solar. Don't call an 800 number. Call local. Call Kevin and his crew at Big Dog at 338-6600. Brought to you by Zephyr Printing and Design and Imprinted Ink on the Ped Mall. 1-800-800-ROSE. Supple's Flowers. GT Carr and his crew at Supple's Siding and Remodeling. Also, Mike's Lock and E-Keys for cars. Hawkeye Title and Settlement, Steve Anderson and his crew. And Premier Automotive in North Liberty. Hit a deer, call Premier. Along with the Ox Yoke Inn in the Amanas. From allhawkeyes.com, here's Pat Harty.
Morning, Pat.
Morning.
How are you? Morning, Captain.
Hello, here's Coach Don Patterson.
Morning, Coach.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good, Don. How you doing?
Doing well. I'm a little upset about the Bears game, but I guess life goes on.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I happened to. They turned that on in the interview room. We were waiting for Coach McCaffrey, who's a Philadelphia Eagles fan, by the way. We were waiting for him to do his post game, and boom, I saw that kick. I couldn't. Don, usually when it hits the crossbar and goes that way, doesn't it usually go in? That one just seemed like it did everything it's not supposed to do.
Yeah, it's just unusual to have a double doink, as they called it, to go off the upright and then hit the crossbar and then bound out is pretty amazing. I do understand that it's happened to the Bears over the course of the season more often than you can imagine, too. I didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah, and that's been one of the stories.
Yeah.
This guy has hit the crossbar.
Half a dozen times, I guess.
Yeah, and then they show there's video of him practicing where he literally hits a pole. He's so accurate with his kicking, he hits a pole. But, yeah, it's just unfortunate as a huge Bears fan. But that's it. That's the game. So often it hedges on stuff like that. And since I guess this will be a good way to segue into tonight's game, Don, you said you were going to do some analytics, and I just want to get your thoughts on how you think tonight's game is going to play out, and if you think having Alabama and Clemson in it for, 3 out of the last 4 years?
3 out of 4.
Is that good for college football?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a subject that could be debated a long time. This was an unusual challenge. I'd never really run across this type of challenge in terms of analytics. So here's my thought process on the whole thing. I looked at 21 parameters that come into play in each and every game. I evaluated all 14 games that Alabama's played, and also all 14 games that Clemson has played. And then I simply noted how often Alabama or Clemson won that particular parameter. I was hoping that there might be a case of each of them winning the parameter all 14 games, the same parameter. That did not happen. But what did happen, they won in any number of cases the same parameter 13 times out of 14. And I simply cross-checked to see if they did it both the same number of times, if that makes sense to you.
Mm-hmm.
The answer is yes, they did. In 3 cases, they each won the same parameter 13 out of 14 games.
Wow.
So my thought process is those parameters that they won, 13 out of 14, obviously those did correlate well to winning. And I simply asked the question, if they each won it 13 times, I would suspect that the team that wins it in a head-to-head competition is going to win the game. Or in the case of these 3 common parameters, if they could win 2 out of 3, they win the game. So I then went a step further. So those 2 win totals would total 26 out of 28 games, 13 out of 14 on the part of both teams. Those 3 parameters, incidentally, in which they each won 13 out of 14 times, were an edge on number of first downs, an edge on total offense, and then the third parameter is interesting, and that would be an edge on critical down conversions. And that would be 3rd and 4th down simply combined. So they had an edge on 13 out of 14 games in all 3 of those parameters. So I would suspect, head-to-head, the team that wins on first downs, the team that wins on total offense, the team that wins on critical downs, if you can win 2 out of those 3 parameters, I suspect you win the game.
Interesting.
You can expand it slightly if you like. There's another combination that produces 25 wins, just one short of that 26 number we just talked about. There are 2 other parameters in which one won 13 times, the other one won 12 times. So if you want to expand that evaluation, you could simply add these 2 in and then simply identify the team that won the best of 5 rather than the best of 3. Those 2 parameters would be any team with a halftime lead won 25. It was 25 times those 2 teams had a halftime lead in those 28 wins, so that was a good correlation to winning, too, was being ahead at halftime. So you could add in the team with the halftime lead, and then you'll find this one really interesting because this relates a lot to Iowa football, too. The team that had an edge on defensive sacks. The team with the edge on defensive sacks, that would be Alabama and Clemson accomplishing that 25 out of 28 games. So obviously that had a lot to do with those 2 teams winning, too. So pick your poison. You can go best of 3 and pick those that produce 26 game-winning edges out of 28 games, or you can go best of 5 and include those other 2, edge at halftime and edge on number of defensive sacks. So if you want to go best out of 5, of course, you can include those 2 parameters as well.
So after going through all this stuff, who do you think's going to win? What's your gut feeling after doing all these analytics? What do you think's going to happen?
You know, the thing that surprised me a little bit, Alabama won 13 out of 14 times in those parameters we talked about already. They did it a total of 4 out of the 21 parameters. They won the parameter 13 out of 14 games. Alabama won on first downs, total offense, critical downs, those same 3 categories we just talked about, and defensive sacks. Now, those are the only 4 times in which Alabama won 13 out of 14 times. Believe it or not, Clemson won 13 out of 14 times, 7 of those 21 parameters. They won 13 times. That surprised me that Clemson would have more than Alabama. And, of course, that just kind of ties into their schedule a little bit, too.
Yeah.
I don't know who would have the tougher schedule in terms of the computer rating on schedule toughness. But I would still go with, regardless of all the parameters, I would still give Alabama the edge, if only because they have more experience at quarterback than Clemson. I think in a national championship game, there is a possibility that the freshman will play a little bit like a freshman. Now, he's done a great job this year, and, of course, that defense gives him a chance to get off the hook at times, too.
That Clemson kid looks good, though. He throws a good ball.
He's the number 1 quarterback in the country his senior year.
I believe it.
Yeah, he's impressive. There's no doubt about it. But it's just difficult to bet against Alabama in national championship games with the recent success they've had. If you wanted to assign a value to coaching, I would give Alabama a slight edge over Clemson there too.
That's what I was going to ask you. How much do you do the Saban effect? I mean, he's poised to win his 7th national championship, which is 6th at Alabama, which is really unbelievable when you think about it. I never thought I would witness anything like this.
Somebody asked him the same question that Pat asked you, that do you think it's good for football to have the same teams? Yes.
What did he say?
To play the same team 3 out of 4 times. He said, I don't worry about many other football teams other than my own. What's his answer?
That's how he is. He's just...
I would like to see other teams be able to crack that combination of Clemson, Alabama. But the bottom line, of course, you have to find a way to do it. There are some people that are critical of Alabama's schedule. But let's face it, there are a lot of tough opponents in the SEC.
Yeah, if you go undefeated in the SEC, you're fine with me.
Yeah. You know, I think they're pretty smart with their scheduling. I'd be kind of curious, when is the last time that Georgia and Alabama played in the regular season?
It
seems like that doesn't.
Wasn't it last year or 2 years ago? Because didn't Georgia beat them and then Alabama came back and beat them?
I think so.
I thought that was last year, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right because, maybe not. I don't know. That's a good question. It makes a lot of sense. I know that's what the MAC does as an example with Northern Illinois in the West and Ohio in the East. They're traditionally 2 of the very best programs in the MAC, so they do not end up on each other's regular season schedule. The thought being, of course, we don't want a rematch in the championship game. We'd rather that be a first-time occurrence for that particular fall. So, and of course, I think they do maybe, does the SEC maybe have 4 non-conference games versus the Big Ten 3? I think that's true. I think they only play 8.
But no, Alabama does have because, earlier in the year, Nick got mad at the students because some of them didn't show up not as many of them showed up for the non-conference games, and he kind of lashed out, and like Nick Saban does, saying that, we need your support and what have you. But I would have an issue with their schedule more if they go undefeated in the SEC. And to me, that says a lot. And I'm with you, Don. I'm picking Alabama to win because that just seems like what they do in games like this. And I still think 2 years ago, one of the biggest reasons Clemson won that game was because Deshaun Watson was a dual-threat quarterback. Lots of times that play broke down in that game, Don, and he did stuff on his own. Whereas this kid, who looks like a young Fabio, by the way, I don't think he's going to be able to do much with his legs, and I think that could make a big difference.
Yeah, that's a good point, too. The other thing that comes to mind, Clemson, I know, has one outstanding defensive lineman that's not going to play in the game. How many starters are missing for one reason or another on both sides? It seems like, I know that Clemson, I think, has, 3 suspensions?
Yes.
Due to drug testing? Now, maybe only one of them is an All-American player. I'm not sure about the other 2. Maybe they're backups. I don't know. But it sounds like maybe the best players are a little more likely to be involved with the game from an Alabama standpoint than Clemson.
Well, and plus Tua's now had some considerable time to get healthy, get that ankle healthy. And the other thing I like about Alabama is Jalen Hurts. Their backup quarterback has won 20-some games as a starter, and I have a feeling he's going to go in there and they're going to use him some way. But no, I'm with you. I would like to see different teams. I mean, I would like to see a Big Ten team. I know Ohio State won the first one. They did win one, but I mean, Don, Ohio State's close. I mean, they're not that far off. I mean, it seems like they're always one loss away from being in position to be in this game.
That's true. They've what was Urban's record? 89-9 or something. So that's a very, very impressive record. And obviously, if they just had a key win here or there, they would have been involved in more of those Final Four matchups than they already were.
Well, they laid an egg both of the last 2 years.
They have.
That's the problem.
Urban's had a game where Purdue this year and Iowa last year. They just laid an egg.
You're exactly right. And what, something to think about, too. Think back to the debate over who the Final Four should be. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you know it? Both the 3 and 4 seeds. I guess you could argue that Oklahoma put up a spirited fight. But the game went a lot like we thought it would. OU put up a lot of points, but they couldn't stop Alabama, so it didn't matter. And then, of course, Notre Dame laid a huge egg. And and people are quick to correctly point out that Notre Dame, I think in their last 6 January 1st bowl games,
good.
has had a bad record.
It's not
an abysmal
good.
record, you might even argue. Yeah.
Now, I will say, Don, as a Notre Dame fan, I mean, right away, people are saying Georgia should have been, but then Georgia went and laid an egg against a 4-loss Texas team.
Absolutely.
I didn't think Georgia really made a count for themselves either. So
No.
I don't know.
You're right.
Go ahead.
You know, one way to explain Georgia's performance in the bowl game is Georgia. We talked before the bowl game season about teams that were not excited to be where they were, and Georgia would certainly be a prime candidate to be one of those teams. They obviously could make a good argument that they were one of the best 4 teams in the country.
Oh, sure.
And yet they had no chance to be involved with the Final Four. And they consequently went out, and Texas was inspired. And,
they were.
Underdogs do have a little bit of an advantage at times, especially when the other team's not excited about being there.
And the other thing that's been lost with Texas's struggles, Texas always has good players. Because even when Charlie Strong was struggling there and what have you, they still had really good recruiting classes. So there's talent there. They just need the right combination. And maybe Tom Herman, they won 10 games this year. I mean, Texas should win football games. I mean, they're built to win football games. But, hey, Don, I wanted to go a different direction get your thoughts on Amani Hooker. I mean, none of us were really surprised, and we thought that he was coming. But he's out now. There has been nothing yet from TJ or Anthony Nelson. I'm sure you weren't surprised by Hooker's decision, or were you?
I was a little surprised. I'll explain why. Right now, as I understand it, the last number I heard was 86 players declaring early.
For 256 draft spots.
Exactly. 86 guys declared early. You know, most of those 86 players have reason to believe they're first-round picks. Well, there's only one huge problem with that. Of course, only 32 spots. So a lot of these guys that declared early are going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Come draft day. They will be. You know, some of them are not even going to be picked in the first 2 rounds, clearly. And for that matter, some of them may not be picked in the first 3 rounds. It's a little unrealistic to think that all 86 will show up in the first 3 rounds because there's only 96 picks. Obviously, some of them are going to be seniors that did play out their eligibility. So some guys are going to be disappointed. I hope that Amani's not one of them because he's certainly a wonderful young man. I was just hopeful. I guess the one positive, a little bit like TJ, he won a wonderful honor. He was recognized the best defensive back in the Big Ten. So where do you go from there? He's not going to probably fit the physical profile any better a year from now than he does now.
Yeah.
You know, he's a little bit undersized for the NFL. Of course, we can think back to all kinds of guys like, maybe Bob Sanders. It didn't seem to bother him.
No.
And for that matter, aren't we all proud of Desmond King? For the year
I
he's
was
had?
just going to say,
Wow.
yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So Desmond King, they wish he was a little bit taller too. Well, if you can play, you can play. Tim Dwight's another example. He's not very tall, but he scores touchdowns and he competes like no one else. So Tim Dwight ends up playing a long time in the NFL. So I don't doubt. I agree with Phil Parker. You know, there's no doubt Amani Hooker's going to play outstanding football in the NFL in time. I'm sure Phil was hoping it would be one more year removed from his college days.
Donnie, now give us some compelling reasons for T.J. Hawkinson to come back for his senior season.
Well, the one that sticks with me more than any other is simply a chance to label yourself as a championship team. You know, we have not been a championship team lately. I guess back in 16 or 15? 16, right?
15.
15.
Yep.
In 15, we won the West, but of course we lost a championship game in a hard-fought game with Michigan State. Well, we haven't had a Big Ten championship team lately. It would be a chance to be part of one. I think, what did they say? Penn State's had 4 guys declare for the draft, I think.
I think that's right.
4 underclassmen.
At least, yeah.
Michigan's had any number of guys too, so it's not just a problem at Iowa, it's just a problem throughout college football. The primary reason I could think for TJ to stick around is one more chance to be part of a championship team, and he hasn't been a significant part of a championship team. I'll say it that way. Back in 15, was he even on the team in 15? Let's get a math straight. He was not, right?
He was not.
Okay, no, he was not. He was redshirted in 16, freshman time. No, he was not even near. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's not part of that, and neither is Amani. So neither one of those guys have been part of a championship team. I would like to think that they'd like one more. I'm sure they would like one more opportunity to do it. But there are people talking to them, of course, that frankly, in some cases, don't have their best interests at heart. That would be those people that are going to serve as agents at some point in time. You know, they're just selfishly thinking about money that might go into their pocket. But that's the primary reason to come back. Nobody, correct me if I'm wrong, no one has ever won 2 Mackey Awards. Is that right? I don't even know how long the Mackey Awards.
Yeah, I don't believe so. No.
Been in existence. A chance to win a second Mackey Award, but we all know that there are no guarantees there. There's, I don't doubt for a second he would have a great fall campaign if he would stick around for another year of college football. But who's to say that he might not suffer an injury next fall and miss some significant games and not even win the Mackey Award again? It would be a great accomplishment to do so, of course. But I guess that's the main motivation in my mind ties into team goals more so than individual goals. They've already accomplished a lot individually. They simply haven't accomplished those team goals that they always have talked about and always trained for.
So, Don, do you think there's way more players doing this now? Do you think anything of it has to do with the state of football, with what's going on with the physical, the violence, and the effects of long-term effects from playing? Do you think a lot of these kids are being convinced by, people that have good intentions, maybe some who don't have great intentions? Hey, you're on a race against time playing this sport. Every year you spend in college when you have a chance to be making money in the NFL is a waste of money. It's a waste of time. You need to get it while you can because this sport doesn't have a big window. To me, I think some of that's going on right now.
Yeah, there's no doubt that it is. You could argue that collisions nowadays are a little more violent than they were in the past. You play more games on artificial turf. There's a little, F equals MA, force equals mass times acceleration. There's a little more acceleration on an artificial turf field than there is on a grass field. So you could argue that the collisions are a little more violent. You could also argue, though, that the equipment has improved in protection of those same players. So, it's been a violent game for a long time. I used to always say that don't describe football as a contact sport. Describe it as a collision sport. Mm-hmm. Basketball is a contact sport.
Good point.
Ballroom dancing is a contact sport. Football is a collision sport. And the guys, of course, that have great technique, defensive players are typically injured when they hit with the crown of their helmet. If you want to hit with your face, if you want to run through players with your shoulders and your face mask, you're not nearly as likely to be injured. And that's the reality. And of course, there are all kinds of rules in place to protect those guys on offense that are vulnerable to injury. I think they've honestly gone a little too far there too. That may sound odd coming from an old offensive coach. But to me, it shouldn't be that difficult for an officiating crew to decide whether or not something's a malicious hit. If a quarterback gets ear-holed in the pocket when he's looking to the right and gets hit from the left, and somebody launched the helmet into his helmet, that's clearly a foul, and that should be a case of getting tossed from the game. But to me, what's the ones that are more difficult are running backs heading down the field. Well, you know what running backs do when they need extra yardage? They put their head down. So it's okay for them to put their head down, and yet it's not okay for a tackler to do the same. Sometimes you see those helmet-to-helmet hits down the field. A lot of times those helmets are pretty close to the ground. Maybe it's a case of a ball carrier, and it might not be a running back. It might be a quarterback. They're more likely, of course, to try to protect a quarterback than a running back because his job is typically not to run the ball so much. Mm-hmm. But if the quarterback puts his head down and there happens to be helmet-to-helmet contact, you're still seeing players ejected from that contact, defensive players ejected. Maybe that defender honestly thought his helmet was going to be underneath that offensive player's helmet, except at the last second, of course, that offensive player drops his helmet even lower, and sometimes you end up with those hits. To me, if you can see the hits coming, you should be, as an official, you should be hesitant to throw a flag because if you see the hits coming, you're not defenseless. You're a player that can see what's coming your way, and your job as an athlete is to avoid those hard hits as best you can.
One thing that's kind of interesting about that got me thinking back. My dad played football in the 40s, running back, played at Notre Dame, and he used to always tell me when all these violent hits were starting to really take effect, he goes, they just go back to wearing leather helmets, we wouldn't have this problem, because now, he goes, the helmets, as great as they are, they're weapons. Guys know it when they're out there. They use them. And then I always kind of, whatever, Dad, you're just old style. Well, about 10 years ago, I was interviewing Bump Elliott for a story. And he said the exact same thing. And because they were right about the same age, mid-40s, same position, running backs. And it was just weird that obviously that's not the way, but I think what Bump and my dad were saying was players today are too dependent on their equipment, and that helmet has changed the course of the game. Do you agree with that, Don? I thought it was weird that two running backs from the same era would say that.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of truth to that. The helmets are such great protection, from a head standpoint. I'm sure players do feel well protected, and an aggressive player is an aggressive player. Bobby Stoops was a hard hitter, pound for pound, one of the hardest hitters we ever had. Bob Sanders falls in that same category. They're the players that are part of their game is to punish the ball carrier.
Yes,
of course.
That's football.
And as the equipment gets better, they're probably more inclined. They're more comfortable. I'll say that, more comfortable hitting with their helmets because they feel a sense of security that the lesser helmets wouldn't provide. I think that's probably true.
Yeah, no, I was just fascinated that Bump and my dad would say the exact same thing. But okay, Tom, do you got anything else? Don, we appreciate you coming on, and I guess Kirk's not doing his January press conference this year. Have you noticed that?
I haven't heard any announcement.
No, there's been I haven't gotten anything, and he's had a January press conference. Maybe they're kind of waiting to see what goes on. My guess is TJ and Anthony Nelson will be announcing their decisions here in the next day or two. They have till the 14th, I believe. My gut feeling is TJ's gone, and I'm not sure still on Nelson, but I mean, like you said, Don, either way, I mean, it's a good. I think they're both in no-lose situations. I mean, if they come back, this team next year's got a chance to be special. But, Donnie, if they end up losing Hooker, Fant, Hawkinson, and Nelson, along with the other seniors, that's a big hit. Wouldn't you agree for next year? That's significant.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It absolutely is. And I'm just I don't know. I've talked to some of our old players, of course, and they feel as collectively as a group, there may not be quite as much. In their minds, this is coming from old players, guys that played back in the 80s and the 90s. They feel that maybe now it appears that players nowadays do not embrace the team concept quite as much as they did a generation or two ago. There might be some truth to that. I don't know. I think young people in general, they grow up maybe with maybe an individual sense more than a team sense. When we were kids, we were out in the backyard playing as a group. Nowadays, kids are more likely to be on a computer playing some kind of game by themselves maybe. It seems like the team concepts are not quite as strong today as they were in years past. Someone did bring up one good point. One way to keep players from declaring early would be to involve more teams in the playoffs. If we had, their thought was, since we have 4 teams in the Final Four, those 4 schools do not lose players that commit early. Or let's put it this way, they certainly don't pass up bowl games.
Sure.
Because they want to try to help their team win a national title. If their argument was if you expand that to 8 teams, now at least we have 8 teams in which people do not pass up bowl games because all 8 teams, of course, have a chance at a title.
That makes sense.
It does make sense.
That does make sense. I would still argue that 8 games is too many. I think in most years we can identify those Final Four and leave it at that. You realize that both Alabama and Clemson are playing their 15th game tonight, and I think that's enough for a bunch of college guys. The whole idea is to finish this before the next semester starts, of course, and we're running out of time to be able to do that if we expand the playoffs. So I'm comfortable with 4 teams in the playoffs. I think most years it's not going to be no one's going to be too upset about their team being left out. If they're 5th or 6th, they're still going to be playing on January 1. They're still going to be playing in a huge game. They can still claim that they're the best team. If they can trounce their bowl opponent, they can argue that they're the best team. They simply didn't get to participate in that 14 playoffs.
Well, I certainly agree with you, except the money is going to win out eventually. It always does.
Always does.
And the playoffs, I think, are going to be expanding sooner rather than later. But that's just me.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they go to 8. It'll just require teams to end up playing 16 games. I guess one argument you could make would be, let's go to 8, but let's eliminate conference championship games.
I could see that.
Let's eliminate those 13th games. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
But again, those 13th games, those conference championship games are good money makers
Yes,
too.
they are.
So that's probably a reason that the kids in future years are going to end up playing 16 games rather than 15.
Just like the NFL. You get them ready for the NFL.
Yeah.
There you go. All right.
Yeah, the NFL, of course, yeah, you're right. They play 16 regular season games, and then they have their playoffs.
Yep.
But, of course, they expanded over a few extra weeks, too, and they don't have to worry about final exams and the next semester starting school-wise either.
Well, Coach, we really appreciate you taking your time with us again today, and be looking for those analytics to play out this evening, and let's see which team comes out on top.
Thanks, Donnie. Appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure, guys. I was just going to cover them again, what they were. Edge on first downs, edge on total offense, edge on critical down conversions, and then if you want to expand it to 5 parameters, include edge on defensive sacks, and who leads at halftime. I think those are the five most critical.
We'll watch for them.
I actually am going to watch for those. Thanks, Donnie. Appreciate it. Have a good day. All right.
Take care, guys.
Take care, Don. Very interesting.
Sounds like a submarine. Oh, now it's gone.
It is a submarine.
Was it Morse code?
It's been raining out there.
Morse code.
I don't know what it was.
This sounded like Morse code.
It did. It sounded like there's stuff. Hunters.
There's people.
Is Trump sending you a message?
Yes, he is.
He's calling us fake.
To STF.
Quit calling me an MFer.
You called him an MFer today?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't, but the former Prime Minister of Canada has.
Really?
2 people in Congress have. 1 newspaper. Honest to God. It's like the FCC shut down. I can't say these things, but members of government can.
Hell, we can't even play Devo on YouTube and without getting fined. And got people calling the president an MFer.
And that's okay.
Crack that whip. What about Devo, Captain?
What about Devo?
I don't know.
Stupid.
That Don had some good stuff.
Absolutely stupid.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Don's a little smarter than I am.
And I think he's a little smarter than everybody on this particular broadcast.
Yes. So you're agreeing that you think he's smarter than me?
The whole
Absolutely.
building.
Yeah, I don't think. And I think he's got more. I think he's got more stick-to-itiveness, more discipline than I do.
All of the above. Than I do as well.
Because some of that stuff that he was doing, about halfway through, my pencil would break, and then I'd turn on some music, and then I wouldn't finish. Much like homework.
Hello. Hello.
And now I'm here.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, Adam. What's up, Adam?
We got a new rule around here. You cannot call the president an MFer.
That seems like an easy one to live by.
Yeah, I know it's not Hoops Day, but before you get going, isn't it nice? Aren't they a completely different team when Jordan makes 3-pointers?
Yeah, they are. I was looking at some of your tweets, and you were spot on. When he's hitting shots,
it changes everything.
Just kind of opens up.
And then one last thing. How about the fans leaving with 3:50 to go? All right, I'm done. I couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Well, did you, I was thinking of you, too, yesterday. When did you know the Bears score? Did you try to not listen
I didn't.
out and then come back and watch it, or did you see it live?
I saw it live waiting for Fran's postgame. My guess is Fran was in there celebrating the win and watching Philadelphia. He's a Philly fan, so we were, about 2 minutes before Fran came in to speak to the media, they put but then one of the Permar guys just lost it and says, "Turn that TV off. Coach wants that TV off." Fran wasn't even around. I think this Permar guy was just getting a little too excited, but no, I was able to watch it live. I could not believe what it did. I mean, are you a Bears fan? Who are you a fan of?
Oh, I'm a huge Bears fan. So I grew up, I was Jim
just
McMahon,
like me.
Walter Payton, all those guys. It was a sad day at the Alaska house. We were all down.
So depressed.
Down, so.
And now everyone's saying, "Oh, Nick Foles." Yeah, Nick Foles did not play that well, though. I mean, the Bears had a chance. He did complete that touchdown, what have you. But I feel bad for the kicker. I do like the way, though, the players rallied around him, and the ones who didn't rally around him needed to stay away. There's some players, they even said, I needed some time. I didn't want to say something I might regret. That's my only problem sometimes with football is this game that's played by all these big, huge, incredibly skilled athletes sometimes gets decided by a kicker. You know, I mean, it is what it is.
Often.
But in all honesty, though, I wasn't real mad because, you know, we decided to get rid of Robbie Gould, who's been one of the most solid kickers, you know, in recent history. And so when you're not paying a guy like that, it's crucial when you have those kind of kicks where you're deciding games, and it's just not this game. It's a lot of games that they come down to a field goal kick.
Yep.
I think you got to pay good money for that, just as much as you pay some of these quarterbacks and stuff.
I agree. Look at the Patriots. I mean, they've had Tom Brady, but they've also had two of the greatest kickers in the history of the NFL throughout that whole run, Vinatieri and now Gostowski. I'm with you. I mean, kicking, unless they ever change the rules, kicking is huge. And this guy's a head case now because he hit the crossbar, how many times this year? Like six?
Yeah, six, I think. Is it six? Five or six?
It's just, I feel bad for him, but at some point it is a business and you got to produce. And
I was having a conversation with my in-laws, too, and we were saying how important kicking is, but I think punting, too. We bring a lot of these kids, like in college, it's not just Iowa, but Iowa State and a lot of other schools. They're kind of seen as all right, we'll bring in walk-ons, and then if they make it, maybe we'll put them into a scholarship situation. I think you got to go get the best of the best, especially punting and all that, because it's such a huge part of the game.
Just look at Iowa the last 2 years. It's been
I know, but they have a punter on scholarship. Terrible. Their problem is the people that they give the scholarships to usually don't end up being as good as the walk-on. They had Trent Mossberger, Mick Ellis for two kickers that came here, got beat out by walk-ons, and now they have a full scholarship punter, Ryan Gersandi, who's been here 2 years, that can't beat out Colton Rostetter for some reason, and I don't understand that because Rostetter's been average at best. So I'm with you, Adam. I mean, it's very frustrating, but at least the Bears are good and relevant again. That's why I like Matt Nagy. I really like what he's doing. Trubisky's better right now than I ever thought he would be. So I'm optimistic. I was just pissed that they should have won that game. They should have won it. They had it there. An NFL kicker should make a 43-yard field goal. I'll end it at that. So, all right, on to money.
Well, it got tipped. No one's talking about that, though. It did get tipped.
It did get tipped. You're right. No, you're right. That's a good point. And that may have been the difference. So, I mean, the guy for the other team made a big play. He did get his hand on it. So just got to deal with it. It's life, right, Captain?
It's life.
All right. So's money.
Yeah. Speaking of frustrations, my life, Adam. Here's Adam Oleska, Wells Fargo Advisors with the markets.
Hey, thanks, guys. Good morning, everyone. Stocks finished firmly higher on Friday. All three major averages gained more than 3%. The Dow rallied 746 points to close at 23,433. The S&P 500 climbed 84 points on the session and finished up the day at 2,531. And finally, for Friday, the Nasdaq Composite surged 275 points to close at 6,738. The U.S. equity market did soar as investors assessed economic and monetary policy updates. On the data front, non-farm payrolls jumped to 312,000, beating projections by the largest margin since 2009. Average hourly earnings increased 3.2% year over year in December, which is tied with this past October reading as the highest since April of 2009. And meanwhile, the unemployment rate rose from a five-decade low of 3.7% to 3.9%. And in central bank news, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell suggested that the central bank will be patient with future rate increases and will monitor economic performance before making any major decisions. Once again, on Friday, all 11 sectors in the S&P did end higher. Technology and communications led gains, with the often cited FANG group jumping 5.5%. Industrials and materials also outperformed, adding 3.9% as investors cheered reports that the U.S. and China may be re-engaging in trade discussions early next week. Looking at the market today, major averages are advancing this morning as participants monitor trade developments. In Beijing, mid-level trade negotiations between the U.S. and China officials kicked off on Monday today with optimistic comments from both sides. The Dow is up 22 points this morning, S&P is up 8, and NASDAQ is up 46 points in early trading. European markets are lower near mid-session. The Euro Stock 600 is down 0.3% as January's investor sentiment index fell for the fifth straight month. Germany's DAX is falling 0.5% after factory order data declined for the first time in 4 months. And in Asia overnight, Japan's Nikkei jumped 2.4%, while the Shanghai Composite gained 0.7%. And lastly, this morning, Treasuries are strengthening with along the curve, with the yield on the 10-year note off 3 basis points. That's trading at 2.63%. In commodities, crude is adding 2.2%. That is trading at $49.02 a barrel. And gold is up 0.7%. That's at $12.95 an ounce. Once again, this has been Adam Haluska with Wells Fargo Advisors, LLC, member SIPC. If you're in the Iowa City, Coralville area, we can be reached at 319-338-3799. Or you can always come in and see us, Adam Haluska, Corey Urian, and Ted Stoley. We're at 501 12th Avenue, Suite 201 in Coralville, Iowa.
Thank you, Adam.
You can see and hear us on YouTube or listen on the TuneIn app. Our video and audio streams are powered by the Iowa City Marketplace.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Areas of rain around this morning, a cloudy sky for the afternoon with a high in the low 50s, staying mild but breezy. Wind gusts as high as 30 miles an hour. Tonight, mostly cloudy, low down to 35, and in the sunshine for tomorrow. Cooler day, though, with highs in the low 40s and still that strong breeze, gusts to 35 miles an hour. Even colder on Wednesday and Thursday with sunshine, high temperatures in the mid to upper 20s. That's your mighty 1630 KCJJ forecast.
We're sitting at 48 now.
Weather brought to you by the Westport Touchless Auto Washes at Walmart in Iowa City, Coralville's High V.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's it?
That's all you got?
That's all I got.
You haven't had to do much in these recent We were just talking about that. We've had guests all through Friday's show, and then we had a little 5-minute bonus there from Adam. And we were just talking that Adam would be a good candidate winner. And I'm not saying Bobby Hansen's done by any, because he's not Bobby's. I don't even know if Bobby's. He's right around 60 now. He could do it for another 10 years. But I think Adam Haluska would be good at that.
He would.
I think he could do.
I think he could do this show.
Well, I think he could probably upgrade this. He could probably upgrade this show. But then we're out in the cornfield.
Well, I was talking more about my position.
Oh, your position. Oh, yeah. You want to? Oh, is it true that you really would like to retire?
All I know is that another lie out of the administration, Sarah Huckabee Sanders said she heard KGYM got a phone call. So
I knew where he was going with that one.
I kind of thought so too, but
the fact that
it hasn't been.
No, you haven't done one of those in a while.
We've laid
I
off.
guessed that one. I saw that one coming though.
So did it feel like the sword of Damocles has been removed over the Iowa basketball team's head for at least a few days?
Well, I mean, anytime you can get a win. I mean, they just needed to get a win, and they got it against a team that is
a good
team. A good team, but they've got issues. Nebraska fans did not expect to be 1-3. They've played a tough schedule, though. They've had at Maryland. They've had some tough losses, what have you. But, no, they just needed to get a win. But I still say the underlying thing, I think the Trainer story was great. Garza coming in and scoring 8 points in the first half was great. The underlying story from that game was Jordan Bohannon making threes.
Absolutely.
And shooting confidently. And let's face it, that shot at halftime, that didn't get his confidence going. I think it was the second three he made in the second half. That's when I think he knew, wow, it's back, at least for tonight. And you saw a lot of how they played 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. When Jordan's hitting shots, everything else opens up. Their transition game, everything.
Everything works better.
Everything works better, and it just loosens everything up. And it was huge because, let's face it, Connor hasn't played well the last few games. Connor's struggling.
Connor has run into a wall here.
Freshman wall.
Yeah. And he has not measured up so far.
Not recently. He has struggled against Big Ten competition. He's not any threat from three right now. Teams know that. They're going to let him shoot that three. Right now he's not doing it. They're not letting him get in and penetrate. He did have a couple nights. He had a nice bounce pass to Kriener for an easy basket. He still is a good passer, but teams know that. So now what the game is at this level, it's adjustments. Teams have adjusted once to Connor McCaffrey. Now he has to adjust to what their adjustments are, and that's what we're seeing right now. And I said this a few times when he played high school, he's got to do less reaction to calls. I thought he did too much.
I
of that
agree
last
with
night.
you.
He did a lot of that in high school, and hey, you can say, well, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. You're right, because his dad does have a tendency sometimes, but I thought last night there was just too much looking over to Dad saying it was all ball. I didn't touch him. It was all ball. I didn't touch him. It was all ball. Well, he didn't think so. The official called it move on, and I think sometimes Connor dwells on stuff.
The official wins.
The official always wins.
Yep.
And Daddy can't do anything for you over on the bench, and I think that's kind of the way Fran just kind of looked at him like, hey, you got to keep playing.
And I think Connors was very frustrated.
He was.
And has been the last couple games.
But it's, again, freshman.
Yeah.
Yeah, redshirt freshman.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been out of high school now for over a year and a half. But he was that way in high school. His brother's the same way. They're very reactionary. They react to stuff. Sometimes I think they react too much. That's just me. I'm not ripping them or anything. I don't want Fran and Margaret at my door. I'm just saying. I think sometimes they react too much to officials' calls.
Well, there were a lot of good stories out of last night's game.
Yeah,
Ryan Kriener was
14
terrific.
points. Kurai, Isaiah Moss, 10 points, 12 rebounds. Kurai, and they needed all of it. Yep. And I guess devil's advocate, because a couple of my friends have said, yeah, my concern is the fact that Nebraska played like crap and still almost beat us here. They did. They played horribly. They missed 19 of 23 3-point
Well, they
shots.
certainly didn't shoot well.
And they didn't handle the ball well. I just didn't think. But Nebraska doesn't really have an inside game.
No, they don't.
Copeland's like 6'6". He's not very big, and they just didn't have an answer. Kriener and Cook are both 6'9". Garza's 6'11". That's you can't coach that.
Yeah.
And Iowa has that, and I thought that made a big difference. But the big difference was Jordan got open, shook free. They weren't letting him get loose at all in the first half, but then the zone came in, and Jordan made those threes, and it just kind of reminded me of 2 years ago when they almost made the tournament.
And then 29 out of 32 from the free throw line.
They continue to be one of the best teams in the country at drawing fouls and getting to the free throw line and making free throws. I mean, they are incredible in that regard. Cook's making his free throws. Moss was 5 for 6. Of course, it helps having Jordan go 10 for 10. He made 8 in the final minute. Yeah. They just kept fouling him. And I don't think any of those free throws in the final minute even touched the rim.
Of course, the bad news is our deficiencies are still our deficiencies, and what do we give up, 84 points? If you win, I guess it doesn't matter as much, but our defense was not terrific last night.
No, especially when you factor in all the missed threes.
Yeah.
What if Nebraska shot just close to what they normally do from three? They would have had close to 100 points.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, no, I'm not. I'm just glad that the players got a win, that they can feel good about their hard work for a while. But am I think that this is a corner turner? No. I mean, by any means. They need to win at Northwestern, because Northwestern is not very good.
No, they're not.
But they're tough at home.
And their guard court isn't anywhere near what it's been.
No, they're just not very good. They were lucky to beat a really bad Illinois team at home.
Barely.
But Northwestern's in the Iowa position. If Northwestern wins, all of a sudden they're 2-3 in conference play and get a little momentum going. If Iowa can win this game, all of a sudden they're 2-3 and 13-3 overall. That looks pretty good.
It does.
It's a big game.
Then you have a big game against Ohio State at home.
I give them a chance here. I don't give them a chance there. But Ohio State just got beat by 8 at home by Michigan State. I think it was by about 8. Michigan State just ran by him in the second half. So, no, this is a chance. But I'm just looking at this one game at a time, and I know that's how Fran is. They haven't turned anything around. They just they avoided being 0-4. That's how they avoided losing their 18th out of 22 conference games. I mean, and I think had they lost again, this is what I wrote. You lose again last night, that 11-0 non-conference schedule looks more and more like fool's gold, doesn't it?
Yep.
So now if you can win a little bit, that non-conference schedule doesn't look as bad. So, but no, it was just nice. But no, we were talking. I looked up, it was 77-70, and they just couldn't put them away. And Nebraska was missing a bunch of shots that lots of times they make. All of a sudden, there's a stoppage play at 77-70. I look up, and there's probably at least 100 fans heading up the steps.
That
and I'm just like,
pisses me off.
I'm just like, what the hell?
Yeah, I don't get.
What can Barta? I know we blame Gary Barta, and I do. I mean, but what can Iowa do about that? The best are the comments. So I got to find. Someone said some of them were leaving to go get their yarn at Joann's Fabric because they're a little spewed. And
then Rex answered you, I think.
Yeah,
with,
Rex. Senior talk. He gave me a little senior talk.
Yeah, he said that, no, we're going up to watch it from the...
well, I don't like that.
Well, but then, I mean, maybe his friends are, but
Many do that, though, Tom. You know it.
They do.
And I don't like it. Do you like it?
No.
I think it's a stupid tradition.
Part of that's the problem with the Carver itself.
Well, part of that is getting physically, emotionally, and mentally ready to scale those stairs. Okay, can I make it? I mean, because, I see people stopping halfway through.
But a lot of people pile out, too.
They do. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't. I've never understood it, and I've never been a big fan of Carver, to be honest.
But I've seen the same damn thing at Kinnick, and it just, where they get up at the end of the third quarter, and we're close. It's close, one way or the other, and I don't get it.
But man, Nebraska makes a 3. And that game could have changed so abruptly. And there's fans just leaving. It's the only place I see. That doesn't happen at Hilton. It doesn't happen at the other places I go to in the Big Ten. Why does it happen here at Iowa?
Boy, you talk about Hilton. Huge win by Iowa State.
I wasn't even close.
God almighty.
They have a chance to be really good. Wigginton's their best player.
Well, has Kansas won 12 straight Big 12 titles?
At least. It may be more than that. But no, that game wasn't even competitive in the second half.
No.
And what's going to be the challenge for Prohm is to get the right chemistry with all those pieces. Because, since the Iowa game, he's added at least 2 or 3 more pieces to that team. But the big one is Wigginton, of course. And so, that's going to be a great win for Iowa.
Yeah.
That's going to be Iowa's mark. That right now, that looks like a really good win. But no, I just don't get and I don't get the people that tell people to sit down when there's times to stand up. I mean,
I saw I think somebody tweeted out yesterday that Iowa basketball games are, I wish I remembered exactly what it said, but they're spectators. The fans are spectators rather than, active participants in the event.
Well,
they're
a lot
spectators.
of cases that's true.
Yeah.
That is true. Not all fans. There's a lot of fans that are into that game and want to cheer, but lots of times those fans will complain on Twitter, hey, I was just told to sit down.
Yeah.
And I don't know. They've got to,
Well, part of the problem, and maybe the biggest part of the problem, is we got a real old fan base.
Well, yeah, okay, here's this tweet. Nebraska keeps hanging around as Iowa leads 77-70 with some fans heading to the exits during the timeout with 3:50 remaining. Then I tweeted and then, yep, and I have Iowa fans telling me to sit down and not cheer for defensive stops with minutes to go. Here's another one. Got to beat the traffic, Herb. Got to beat the traffic, Herb, or we won't get home in time for the Ed Sullivan Marathon on TBS. That's one. I thought that was funny. For some of them, bedtime was approaching. It's the same bad culture we see year after year. I'm sorry, but if you want to sit down and watch the game, you have a perfectly good chair at your house to do so. I mean,
I agree.
Here's one. Ran out of yarn, emergency run to Joanne Fabric. Wait a that one, Captain.
I like that.
I thought that was pretty funny. Beat the traffic. Here's one said, ask Tommy Lang. He said something about a new app. What's that? And it's Cyclone Mama.
The app that syncs up, when the fans put their flashlights on their phone up.
Yeah.
The Cyclones have an app that flashes everybody's. Everybody's
someone's asking.
flashlights.
Someone brought that up to Tommy on this little.
Oh, and it's cool AF. It really is.
Here's one. Must be headed home to watch the 7 p.m. showing of Murder, She Wrote or MASH.
No, that was a reference to a joke I made about that Cyclone app. I said that Carver has an app that starts your car with 5 minutes left so you can leave early.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Good one.
Now it all makes sense.
But I did think that app was very cool.
That was very cool, yeah. It looked cool.
But it is weird, though. It's a weird thing that's been going on since I've been here.
It's been going on since... I can't remember when it was going on, and it just...
I swear it has something to do with the structure of the arena. I think people...
Some of that, but there's...
I think people hate leaving that arena so much and what you have to do to leave if you're not taking the elevator, that it's almost like you want to get it over with.
I think there's part of that,
Or take it in stages.
I think part of that, but the same thing happens at Kinnick.
Yeah, I don't see it, but I'm not...
I don't see it as much at Kinnick.
God, our row, empties out. It really does at the end of the third quarter.
God, why even go?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Well, for basketball too, the crowd sometimes in a game like that can make the difference at the end. Because Nebraska was coming. I mean,
absolutely.
Like I said, if they would have shot a little better from three-point range, that game could have been a lot different. But, I mean, I just find it weird. And there's just so much
Vlad
about
has yelled at people. And we've been so damn close. He goes, "Where are you going?" And, and they just push him aside.
What if they're like, well, we're going to the parking lot and you're going straight to hell? What would he say? What would he do?
I think he'd take a swing.
You think he'd take a swing?
Yeah.
So how much trouble do you think Miles is in if they don't make the tournament?
I think
a lot.
I think a lot, yes, because they did go 13-5 in conference play, but this team is built to win now. There's a bunch of veteran players.
They have 3 senior
fifth-year
starters.
seniors, and they're 1-3 in the Big Ten, and I did not think they played that well last night.
Hello.
Hey, it's only old Grandpa.
Hey, Dirk.
Hey.
I hear what you're saying, and I don't disagree with anything that you state about fans leaving early.
But I think you're coming at us with a big but, though, right?
No buts.
All right.
I think that one of the issues that plays into fans leaving early is how games drag out at the end with endless time.
Oh, I get that, Dirk, but that does that at every team does that. Why do Iowa fans seem to leave more than other teams? Just from what me observing. I've been to every Big Ten arena. I just never see this happen at other Big Ten arenas.
Yeah, you make a really good point. But
I do see what you mean, though. You're right.
And it's not just the endless timeouts. It's the endless fouls, intentional fouls that aren't called intentional.
I just wish they'd give a team an option of either shooting free throws or keeping the ball again.
Yeah.
Sometimes maybe that. But, no, you're right. It does. The game does.
I wish they'd just call an intentional foul what it really is. I mean, the rule was put in there for a reason.
Yeah, but they don't.
And somewhere down the line here in the recent past history, the last 40 years or so, they just stopped calling it.
And here's one. How about a few less timeouts? Do teams really need like 10 times? I mean, do you really need...
No, they don't. With the media timeouts?
With the media timeouts? I don't know why you need as many timeouts. Because I know in high school, Richard and I will be doing a game. Well, wow, this is moving along smoothly. Then you look, both teams still have 4 timeouts left. And a lot of these high school coaches will use all 8 of those timeouts in like the last minute of a game.
Here I got Lute hated Carver, and he designed it. But it didn't come out like he wanted. He left. It was a barn. No excitement.
I don't know that that's true.
That's I've heard. Well, where are you reading that from?
I just got a message.
Oh, okay. But
he wasn't here long enough to hate it.
Well, I thought Lute left mostly because his wife didn't like the cold weather. Wasn't that a big part of it? And the fishbowl.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Plus, I just think Lute wanted to do something different. I think Lute saw a sleeping giant down in Arizona because they were 3-23 or something the year before he took over, and he saw something there in nice weather, and his vision turned out to be reality.
I wonder if parking is as big an issue at the other Big Ten schools, getting out of a game, as it is at Carver Hawkeye. We're somewhat landlocked and bottlenecked in the location.
Well, I'm trying to think. I mean, I've had times where I've gotten caught in parking at Assembly Hall. I'm trying to think it.
Illinois can be problematic. I've been there for games, but I just can't say for certain.
None of it stands out to me like, the parking. I mean, none of it, to me, that's not, I mean, I don't know. It's
maddening, and if you want to get home, it can drive you nuts. I went to the women's game Friday night, and I think there were only 5,000 people there. And we just waited forever to get out of the dental school parking lot, regardless.
See, by the time I leave, the parking lot's empty because
can't. Yeah, it's hard.
No, there are some issues with that. I mean, that's what happens though when you have your 2 biggest athletic facilities, the basketball and the football, right in the middle of a neighborhood next to a hospital. There's no room for anything.
That's right.
That's the ambience, and that's when you talked about moving everything. Oh, how can you move things out there? Well, we're running out of places to put stuff. There's no parking. Traffic can be a pain, but to me, then I don't know. I just still don't understand if they're up by 15 with 3, fine. But that game last night was not over until the very end.
No, it wasn't.
That with 3:50 to go and you're rushing to the exit, I don't get it.
And Pat, you called it earlier. We won, or maybe it was Tom, but we didn't play that well. There were moments defensively where I just shook my head how a Nebraska ball handler could go around not 1, not 2, but sometimes 3 Hawkeye defenders and score.
You guys, the game came down to one thing. 3-point shots.
And free throws.
Free throws, too, but 3-point shots, the difference in points was 20.
Yeah, it was a big swing.
Let's see, Iowa made 10, 30. They made 4, 12. Well, wait, 18. 18 points difference. That, yes, and the free throws obviously help too, but the difference in that game, Iowa is a tough team to beat when it can make threes. I mean, you can say that about a lot of teams, but especially Iowa. I mean, Jordan Bohannon, when he's hot, is one of the best three-point shooters in the country. I mean, he really is.
No question.
And it was sure nice to see him show up in the second half.
Wow.
We wouldn't have won without him.
No, everything else loosened up after that. They do better in transition. Everything kind of feeds off of Jordan making
Paul
threes.
in the chat room, I hope someday they consider building an arena downtown.
Never happened. No room.
It will never happen.
So, in other words, find the one place that's more cluttered than over there by the hospital.
Well, not only that, they're not going to give up that much space off of the tax.
I don't think people realize. I don't think people realize how much space with parking and everything in arena it would wipe out from Burlington to the river almost for a section. It really would.
When I ran for a terrible, stunning defeat, but when I ran for consul,
you're like Dewey.
Everybody,
you're Dewey.
Yeah.
Is he Dewey?
Yeah, Dewey. and so everybody was praising the fact that Old Capitol Town Center, was mostly a university. How the city got together with the university. People don't realize how much money that took out of the city because they don't pay any taxes. And it's the same thing if you would put an arena down there.
Well, a lot of people have said to me, though, well, they'll just park in the ramps. God, the ramps are not the answer to everything.
No.
They can barely handle what they have now. There's just not room for an arena downtown. I'd love it. I love Tom's idea about being able to go down to eat, cross over into a tunnel, and boom, you're in the arena. I think it's great.
It would be fantastic.
But it's just not there. It's
not feasible.
Just tear down the old Capitol and put it on the Pentecrest. And
there you
everybody
go.
will be happy.
Jessup Hall and all those. Yeah, just tear all that down.
Yeah, tear them down.
Then you got a nice place for an arena right on the hill there. And then what do you do when Iowa goes 4-14? You know?
Tear it down again.
Yeah.
You said something about the fan base is too old. I don't think that's true. I think the contributors are too old.
Well, that's because the older you are, the more money
you have. No, it's critical that you have the older people because they're the ones with the money.
But they're never going to give up those good seats.
But the youth brings the enthusiasm and the excitement.
Yes, and there's got to be a way to mix them both and to appease them both. There has to be a way to structure that arena to where the old people with the yarn and sitting down and what have you can watch the game without being distracted, but also without them distracting. There's got to be a way.
Well, and if they're so worried about getting up the stairs, then get seats farther up.
True, but you've seen the rush to the elevator.
Oh, absolutely.
It is the Bataan Death March, man. It is just, and it goes on forever, and you've got people just.
That was a hell of a death march.
But I'm telling you,
it was just the best death march.
You just look up that tunnel and you just see bodies just trying to elderly bodies, people in wheelchairs, canes, walkers trying to get up there, and I feel for them. It's just a bad setup.
It is.
And I'm not sure what the university can do besides renovate the hell out of it. And that's what I think at some point they probably need to do.
But the idea, put the food court.
I
think that would be
a great idea.
Yeah. I would love that.
They also got to spice it up. Why not have Chris Street, Ronnie Lester, and Megan Gustafson's once she gets done and retired? Spice the arena up. Get some stuff in there. They've got those banners from the Vivian Stringer coaching era, those NCAA that are. I mean, just do something. I don't know why it has to be so sterile.
We got over there Friday night for the women's game a little earlier than I anticipated, and I wanted to take the kids by some display to show them, what's new and what's not, and then it dawned on me, there's nothing to show them.
There's nothing there. There really isn't.
Yeah, you got your ice cream station, you got your
there should be a Ronnie
lemonade cart. You got a wall of contributors' names.
There should be a Ronnie Lester memorial there. There should
have a great
Hopefully
entrance into that place.
Well, not a memorial, a Ronnie Lester, you know what I mean, a tribute.
A great entrance where you have to walk by all this greatness.
And something that will someday serve as a Ronnie, because, as great as Ronnie was, he's not going to live forever. You know what I mean? Something that Ronnie Lester, to me, Ronnie Lester deserves that. And where they have the Chris Street thing, it's real neat, but fans can't see it.
Right.
I mean, it's right in front of nobody can see it. I mean, and then to me, when Megan Gustafson, the moment she's done, her jersey should be retired, and there should be something for her there, too. And I'm not saying everybody. We just mentioned the greatest player for the men's program and arguably the greatest player for the women and one of the greatest players who died tragically. Those are three. It's not like I'm going to be saying you should put Jim Bartle's jersey up there or something, or anybody. I mean, I'm not knocking Jim. You know what I mean, though, Dirk. I mean, It needs to be somebody really...
Jakes.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it needs. I just think they need to do stuff for that arena. It's just not working. The team's not good enough year in and year out to create the kind of atmosphere that causes you to overlook all the issues. Rarely,
we got a lot of issues to overcome, and winning will cure a lot of it, but it won't be permanent. It won't be lasting because winning streaks don't last.
I mean, there should be a picture of the. I mean, Ronnie Lester should be displayed there. I've never understood why his jersey's not hanging somewhere prominently in that arena. I don't get it.
Well, a lot of fans who go to every game have also said, we don't do near enough to honor these guys from the past and bring them back at halftime to do something before the game. Just like you're talking about, there just seems to be a disconnect. And I don't know that it happened with Licklider on guard, but Alford, there was a disconnect with Alford and the former Hawkeyes.
No, Licklider almost discouraged ties with the past.
Yeah,
or just ties with humanity.
Everything was the Butler way.
That
you know?
Just headaches and tension, ongoing tensions.
Teardrops.
I love that photo of Licklider with Gatens. There's like 3 feet between them, and
isn't that something?
That's the most awkward. I mean, that was like Stalin and FDR at the wall thing. All right, I know I'm overreacting a little bit, but no,
not really. Not really. If you know the whole story.
Oh, I know the whole story. Trust me.
Yeah, then
Carver
you know that you're not overreacting.
Carver
I'd like to know
fixable.
who asked for that picture.
That's a good question. Carver is fixable beyond just having to have a top 10 team every year. There's ways to make that place better, and they just refuse to do it, and I'm not sure why. I've never been given the days of, it cheapens the product, that crap. I mean, the product cheapens itself when it doesn't make the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's just I don't know.
How many people? I saw the official attendance number.
It was 11-7.
Yeah,
it seems
what
about
do you
right.
think was really there?
Probably close to that.
Yeah.
I think there was over 10. Yeah, I think there was over 10.
Well, that's good.
So, yeah, no, it was a good crowd. It just, I mean, I don't think it was an incredibly loud crowd, but it was a weird game. There was time, Bohannon would make a big three, and you'd think they were going to put him away, and the next thing you know, Nebraska, there was always a reason to cheer, but then always a reason not to cheer. And that Nebraska deserves credit for sticking around.
Right. Yeah, they had answers in the first half.
We got to 11 ahead, and then 30 seconds later, it seemed Nebraska
6.
had it back to 4 or 5.
That's what
6.
happened. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, the Hawks won. Now we got a big one at Northwestern. And like you said earlier, that's a very winnable game.
Yes.
But do you expect it? That's the question.
I'm 51-49 right now thinking they're going to win, especially since Northwestern won. Northwestern's got to win now. It's not like they're going to be 0-5. I'm going to give Iowa a slight edge because this Northwestern team is just not very good.
They barely beat Illinois at home yesterday.
Illinois stinks.
And I think we match up pretty well against.
Yeah, I think
Iowa's
size. They're not going to have an answer for Iowa size. And is there a meaner looking coach than the Illinois head coach?
No,
he's got anger issues.
My God,
I'd be pissed too if I were.
He is just a mean looking guy.
Women have a big game at home tonight at 7:00 against Wisconsin.
Yeah, great to schedule it right during the national championship.
Yeah, well, you know the way I figure it. We're going to go to the women's game and get home, and we'll see the second half of the championship game. It doesn't start till what, 8:00?
I don't even know. I haven't looked. It's probably sometime around that. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
so much.
it's gonna-
I think the pregame started at 10. It's on right now. If you want to catch that for the next 10 hours.
Yeah,
I
that
honestly
really
don't know if
interesting.
I'll even watch it. I might.
Like a lot of people west of the Mississippi, you'll tune in to see what's going on.
I might.
Yeah.
I really did. I actually got to watch the Clemson game, the semifinal, and their quarterback I thought was just terrific.
They're
for
both
a young
exciting
kid
teams to watch.
Does he look like a young Fabio?
A little bit. He also looks like the kid on Just Friends, Chris Brander's brother. I know if you haven't seen that movie, you won't know what I'm saying.
I don't know what you're saying.
I don't know what you're saying.
He looks just like him.
I don't know what you're saying.
He kind of looks like a young Mr. Darling on Andy Griffith.
Briscoe?
Briscoe Darling.
What?
No.
I'm not seeing that at all.
I just tried to relate to you.
Neither
Pat.
am I.
Well, I think there's some truth to my Fabio thing, though.
Steve's making some S up.
Well, I appreciate you guys taking my call. It's always good to talk
All right,
about the
Dirk.
Hawks. And like I always say, go Hawks.
Yes.
Beat everybody.
Love it.
But, yeah, that was big game for the women tonight because these are the kind of games you have to win. What do you got going on, Tom? You doing business?
No, it's a prescription. I'm just seeing what it is.
Oh. During the middle of our radio show.
What the hell?
What is it?
$166.99. That stinks.
Hello.
Son of a bitch.
Well, was that
Gavin, the unfriendly ghost?
What did we do to piss him off?
I don't. What do you look at me like?
Well, you tell Gavin the unfriendly ghost. What message do you have for him, Tom? Tell him to suck it.
Suck it.
Suck it, ghost. you
Suck it,
wuss.
ghosty.
He's a wuss.
Hello.
Ghost is a wuss.
Gene Katie was a mean-looking coach.
He was.
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was.
He looked like a Boilermaker.
Yes,
That's
he did.
a good one.
And that's going 26-6. This poor Illinois coach still can't win yet. No, you're right, though. Gene Katie's scowl was incredible.
And another thing, if it's a 2:00 game at Carver, people are still leaving with 3 or 4 minutes left in the game.
I don't get it.
Doesn't matter for bedtime.
I just don't understand. I don't get it.
I don't either.
Unless they're going to the early bird at Shakey's or something.
There's still a Shakey's here?
No.
No, but I wish there was.
There was one in
I do
Urban.
too.
There was one in Urbandale, right by the ice arena. We used to have all of our little.
I
league
loved
parties.
Shakey's.
I did too.
Yeah, it was great.
And when I realized it was all you could eat, it was the first all you can eat thing I ever went to in my life. And I remember I went and put like 14 pieces of pizza on my plate. And my mom looked at me like, Jesus, you can't take you out anywhere. It was the first time I had been to an all. I was like 6 years old.
Did you eat them all?
No. God, no. I think I spilled some on the floor. I gave away.
Stack up the meatballs. Those meatballs were great.
My brother got his, though, the first time. He tried to sell some pieces to his teammates, not letting them know it was all you could eat. He goes, no, no. And I thought that was funny. But no, Shakey's was great. It really was.
Yeah.
And then if you want a more rambunctious, loud, involved crowd, serve beer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I
that would
don't
definitely
disagree at all on that.
It's kind of a sad statement that alcohol has to be that takes Iowa to the next level, but
Well, but it's just people can drink at home, so if you can drink there,
I
then
get
it
you.
removes one other reason to stay at home.
Yeah, they're not going to get sloshed on
imagine
$10 beers.
Imagine if they do all the people climbing steps to go pee. People are going to be passing out from.
Well, there's that too.
People are going to just be passing out on the stairway in their own soil, you know. And don't those gray jerseys look like Iowa has the butt sweats?
They do, but boy, we win with those things.
I think that's the key. Bring on Duke.
Hello.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys got Tommy's tweet the other day, though. I don't know if you saw that Iowa State made an app so that their lights, their phone lights up.
That's cool.
And Tommy responded that Iowa's working on an app that starts your car at the 5-minute mark.
Yep.
Yeah, we talked about that.
That was a good
earlier.
one. Tommy scored a point on that one, Captain. Is there a band called the Butt Sweats? Look that. I bet there is. You think there is?
Butthole Surfers.
Yeah, well, they were actually somewhat popular, weren't they? I never heard of them.
Popular.
Were
Hello?
they good?
Yeah.
Were they punk?
I don't know.
Yeah. Hello.
Hey, I think you missed the main point of my call, though. The 20-year-olds need to give $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 a year to the university, and then they could sit down close. That's the main thing.
But where are they going to get the money? He didn't stick around.
And therein lies the problem.
Where's the 20-year-old going to get the money?
Yeah. Butt Sweat.
There is a band called the Butt Sweats?
It's called Butt Sweat and Tears.
Butt Sweat and Tears.
That's great.
I love.
They're in Chicago.
Let's try to get them on. What
That's
kind of music?
awesome.
What's their?
The Chicago punk rock band.
That's a great Butt Sweat.
Oh, that is terrific.
Hello.
Hey, talking about the crowds, I thought of something a few years ago. I'm not sure when it was, when we were in an NIT game and they opened up this ticket sales for whatever NIT game it was, and by and large, a whole group of people that don't go to the regular season games bought
That's
tickets.
happened a few times.
And it was electric.
No, you're right about that. That's
and
happened a
it was
few
electric.
times.
And
Yeah.
there's the difference right there is the current fan base versus the fan base that was hungry to go see the team live.
Good point.
That usually doesn't, and it was crazy.
Yep.
Now, I know a couple people that were part of that, and I asked them, number one, they didn't. It's not necessarily that they couldn't afford it; they didn't want to afford season tickets. And I think a lot of those fans that show up for those games are in that category. Not necessarily that they can't afford it; they don't want to afford it, so they go there for that one game. It's a special thing, and they go nuts. But those NIT now it's worked backwards too. Remember the NIT crowd for Tom Davis in '98 against Georgia? There was like 2,700 people there, and they got beat. Remember that? It was the year before his
Vaguely.
It was his next to last year. And supposedly everyone says but that's when Bowlesby decided we got to move on. We can't do this. The NIT crowd did not come that night. But 2 years ago with Bohannon and then with freshmen, the NIT crowds were great.
Yeah.
They were.
Hello.
Yeah, guys, they did that app thing for Iowa up at the Sioux Falls game against Colorado, too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that's really cool.
Yeah, no, that's neat. I like it.
Before the game, they said if you download this and then text this number, your phone will link up. And when Iowa came out, they played like Back in Black or an AC/DC song, and your flashlight on your phone was in sync with the beat of the music. Up
No,
there.
I think that's neat. I like that. That's
I love
cool.
it.
And now I've heard I was there. Were you there? Were you there for that game against Colorado?
Yes. Oh, it was out of control.
I've heard the atmosphere was incredible for that game.
I bet you from the 8-minute mark on, I don't think anybody sat down.
See, that's
the last 8 minutes.
Mm-hmm. No, I've been
And
told.
Iowa fought back. Iowa had an 11-point lead. Iowa was down by as many, I believe, as 14, and fought back. And that place was loud. And the little point guard for Colorado,
McKinley Grant.
His name.
Was it McKinley?
Wright, maybe? Mackenzie Wright?
McKenzie Wright, something like that. McKinley Wright, I think. Something like that.
He's from up, I believe Minnesota somewhere. I thought his dad said, but his dad was sitting in front of us, and he said, "Oh man, this is." He said, "This is loud. And this is smaller arena and a long ways away from Iowa City." He said, "I'd hate to see what it's like there if it's like this here." And that's like when we listen to the radio shows. It ain't that bad, but
no, that was a neat event. I like that. I like the fact they did that. And yeah, Carver is what it is. We go through this every year. It's just I don't know. Other than playing really good basketball, I don't think there's a cure.
One thing that a lot of arenas, and it takes care of money situations too, and a lot of old arenas. And what year was Carver built? I know it was
82, 83. 82, 83.
Okay, well I was born in 83, but a lot of them arenas like that, man, and they don't have suites or skybox, luxury suites.
No, or
the old ones do.
Or middle mezzanine concourse areas, no, there's a lot that's not in Carver.
And I mean, if you had suites in there or skyboxes, corporations buy those, or just people who have a lot of money, and that's where people make a lot of money is off the skybox.
Oh, I agree. No,
and they serve beer in the skybox and prime rib and whatever else, but that's why you pay $200 to sit up there a game a person.
That sounds good. Beer and prime rib.
I'm having prime rib today. Prime rib sandwiches at Midtown on Sky.
All right. Sounds good.
Anyway, I guess that's it. And real quick, the Iowa State game on Saturday. If I looked when I brought it up the last time I was on the behind the baseline, the amount of space from the back of the Iowa basket to the actual student section where the arena is curved.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at it on Saturday at Iowa State's. I bet you it's probably 5 foot off the back of the basket.
Exactly.
They're too far away. They need to square that off and bring it in.
I agree.
All right, guys.
That's part of it.
Thanks so much for the call.
No, that's part of it, though. Everyone's too far away. Students are too far away.
Born in 83.
I know. I was
younger than my son.
I was already tired in 83.
We're all tired.
Hello.
Back when the drinking age was 18, did they serve beer at the field house?
No.
Okay, I didn't know.
They never did they?
Never.
No, but they didn't check you as thoroughly for it either.
So you could bring like a flask in, or like
people
Everclear?
would bring
syringes.
Yeah, with cans in.
How about
So
syringes?
there's a lot of diabetics
No, they didn't
there?
bring syringes in.
What's that?
There was a lot of diabetics there.
Yep. That and speedballers. They'd have the diabetics in one. Wasn't it? They'd have them in one section, Tom, and then speedballers.
Section D.
Section D, and then speedballers would be in section S.
Yes.
For speedballers.
Very simple.
Yep.
Oh, City Carton area, I don't think they'd have to put a lot of money into that area to raise it up. Or the.
What are you talking about?
He wants to put the arena where City Carton was, but
where's City Carton?
That's where it floods.
It's
He'd have to build it up a lot.
It's over by the county buildings, county administration building, and courthouse.
Oh, there.
Courthouse, but
Okay, but where's the space? I mean,
I don't know that there's enough space.
I don't
there.
think there's enough space, and it floods. So,
Hey, I had a tough viewing option this week. Marathon with the Pimple Popper or Pee Wee Herman. Pee Wee Herman won out. That
All right.
makes me laugh.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I. Well, I tell you, I would not. I'm not watching the Pimple Popper. I'm just not doing
Oh,
it.
she's hot. Oh,
I know she's hot, but she deals with pus.
I'm looking for pimples all over my body. I'm going to her.
Okay.
Man.
All right,
Thank
there
you.
lunch.
Thank you. Very
No,
much.
you might be banned if you keep bringing it up.
He got mad at Pimple Popper.
He's
last
had it
week.
with Pimple Popper.
He's had it.
Outrageous.
Did you ask Ann about her?
No.
It really pisses him off.
It does piss me
it's
off.
number one.
Number one by a landslide. It's not even close.
It's ridiculous.
Pisses me off.
What does that say about our country?
Precisely.
Pimple Popper.
Well, when somebody calls her an MF,
Wasn't there a Peter Piper? Wasn't there?
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
They need to somehow combine those things.
No, they
don't you think, Suter?
I do not.
Hello.
If you want those old people to stay till the end of the game, just announce that if they leave at the end of the game, you'll give them 50 cents off a cup of coffee for the next game. They'll all stick around.
Hello.
So what's this? Carver's getting moved?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. They're going to move it right downtown. You like the idea of being able to go to one of the many restaurants downtown and then walking across the street and going to see the game. And that setup is at a lot of universities.
It would make it more of an event. It's something that you plan for and something that you do, because now
But if you would make a food court where and maybe an arcade for kids, little kids or something.
There's so much wasted space over there. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hello.
Hey, guys. How you doing this morning?
Pretty good.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, this is Dave with a bad cold.
Yeah, it didn't sound like you, Dave.
Hey, I've enjoyed the show this morning, guys. Hey, first of all, I haven't talked to you since the bowl win. I just want to say it was a great win for the Hawks down there in Tampa. We were fortunate, but we took advantage of the breaks, and the kids hung together. It was just a great win for all the kids and Captain Kirk and his staff. So really happy. You were down at the game, weren't you, Pat?
Yes, I was.
As was I.
Looked like a pretty good crowd. I don't know, what was there, about 30, 40,000?
Well, the game
people?
itself, the crowd was
there
not. The crowd was not good. The game itself, but Iowa had at least, I'd say, 12 to 15,000 fans there. They were well represented.
Well, that's good. Hey, about the basketball team, yeah, they got things to keep working on. It was a good, much needed win, like you guys said yesterday. I thought the one thing, and I know Nebraska missed some shots, but Fran was saying after the game with Dolph talking about using the 1-2-2 and the 3-2 zone and the 2-3 slowed Nebraska down a little because they like to get out and run. And we beat a good team there, and I know you guys mentioned that, but I don't know if a lot of people know they finished fifth or even higher in the Big Ten last year. I think they had 23 wins and only
13-5 in the conference.
And I know they're trying to find themselves, but they're a good, solid program. And it was a good win, and I was happy to see Jordan come through. One other thing about the game, Ryan Kreiner, he's really been coming on this year, and he showed signs last year. I think he deserves another start, and that's nothing against Luka. Luka's still coming off that ankle injury, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Ryan start tomorrow or Wednesday night.
If Luka's not ready, he will.
At least for another game. What do you think about that?
If Luka's not ready, Ryan will start and should.
Mm-hmm.
And he's really played well. And you guys were talking about the crowds and that stuff. I remember, and Tom and Steve, I'm sure Pat remembers this. This must have been about 95, 96, where some reason Iowa got in the NIT against DePaul. They couldn't play at Carver Hawkeye because of some other commitment for the arena. So they came down to the Mart, or whatever you want to call it, the Iowa Wireless or Tax Player Center.
Yep.
And they had one of the. It was like playing at the old field house. It was one of the great crowds and noisemakers. I think they had about almost over 10,500 people. I think Kenyon Murray and Kevin Skillett, I can't remember all the guys on the team. But Joey Myers said he would love to take the crowd back to Chicago with him because it was such a loud game. I don't know if any of you guys were at that one, but that's the kind of crowd we'd love to get. And I know the Hawks have to win to get that kind of crowd, but I don't. Did any of you guys ever go to that game? Do you remember that one?
I didn't.
I remember it happening because
Yes.
I got invited to it, but I didn't make it.
No, we didn't go.
But the crowd, Chris Kingsbury was playing because there was about 20 of us from John Deere, and we were up in the upper balcony, and the guys had little papers for threes. I think Kingsbury had about 8 threes in that game. So anyway, it was a great crowd. So, well, yeah, I'll let you guys go. I think the biggest thing is just keep on winning. Like you said, Wednesday night we need to take care of business and then come home and see what happens on Saturday. So go Hawks and have a good day.
All right, thanks, Dave.
Agreed.
I mean, winning is it. There's no other. At this stage, that's all that's left to do. Is
Kingsbury was impressive, and then after the game, he went out and smoked 3 cartons of
Cools, with a flannel shirt ripped off with the sleeves,
cigarettes rolled up in the sleeve,
and jeans with a little embroidery on the pockets, on the back pocket.
Hello.
What if students had free admission?
They should.
I've written about that probably 7 or 8 times. And
absolutely.
It just falls on deaf ears.
Of course, it doesn't help when no students are in town, but per se.
I've asked Iowa about that. That's where they say that would be cheapening the product, and they also say that they give the students breaks in other areas to where it should offset that. And that I still say just let them in free.
Let them in.
I mean,
and then giving all these prep schools free admission because they'll have to come with their parents or something,
Well, I wish they'd do more where they'd have more teams, high school basketball teams come sponsor a high school basketball team night for a game. I mean, Tuesdays and Fridays are prep games, but there's other nights of the week.
Or a game against Savannah State. Let any high school
free.
athletes in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they've always told me it cheapens the product, and that's just not the way they do things.
Cheapens the product.
Yeah.
I don't even really know what that means. Isn't the product on the floor and performance is the value?
Well, they're looking at it from a business and marketing standpoint, I guess. I'm not saying I agree with what they say. That's just what they've told me.
I mean,
before.
I buy season tickets, okay, and they're a bit pricey. I don't care if they should absolutely let the students in for free.
Students are paying enough for everything.
And I don't care. Yeah. I don't care if I pay $500 for a ticket and the students get in for $0.
They're students.
That's the way it should be.
It's a four or some of my
I've
friends'
always
cases.
wondered about, and I take advantage of it, but I always wondered why seniors get discounts and young people that are starting families and everything have to pay full price.
You should have more money as a senior.
By the time we get this age, we should be able to, afford a movie.
I mean, I'm not your age yet,
That's
but
true.
now I'm just sort of broke. Back when I was 20, I was really broke. Yeah. So I
kids get all the sex though.
What if there was just a random raffle of 500 free burritos, and you don't know that you're getting it, and it's your ticket scanned, and you win a burrito?
I'm not sure if that would a burrito do it.
It wouldn't for me.
No, I think now you have to make a half-court shot with your eyes closed to win a burrito, don't you?
Yeah, that or like a $10 Fields card.
Full court shot
with Garza defending you.
Yeah.
And Tyler Cook fouling you.
I got a $5 one-topping pizza from Pizza Hut.
No, from $5 pizza.
It's just ridiculous. I mean, It is ridiculous. Some of the crap that we do. I mean, the pizza thing, and it's just ridiculous.
What about the kiss cam?
Yeah.
What about hide the franwich?
I've never missed on that.
What about smile cam?
I like the smile cam.
How about the kiss cam?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What else
I do.
they have?
Well,
How
Bud
about-
and I were embarrassed.
Well, that's because you guys French kissed, and none of us needed to see that. That sent humanity back 100 years.
Hello.
Morning, guys.
Hey.
Two things going along with your topics today. My first thought would be giving every student a free ticket for each A they get in their classes, and then it doesn't cheapen it. They have to earn it.
Huh,
That's something.
That's something. That's interesting. Creative.
Yeah. The second was, and I'm racking my brain trying to remember where I saw this, and I'm coming up with it was either in Texas or Oklahoma somewhere. Driving through, we saw, and it looked like an arena that was built over a river, and I can't imagine how much it would cost to build, but the city probably spent nothing on the property since it wasn't.
How would you build it over a river?
Well, that's
how
interesting.
How would you do that? Over there by mums.
I'm not an architect. I was
Turn mums into Carver Hawkeye. Look at that.
Stuck in my memory, it's like, man, how did they do that? But
That is
Well, you get pie. I mean, I can see how you do it. It would cost a hell of a lot of money.
Boy, that is interesting.
It would, but there'd be no loss in revenue as far as spending on property or loss of tax revenue.
And then mums, what are they doing with that area down there with mums?
Yeah, all the bums would live underneath it, and on the edges.
Well, they'd work for security.
Well, they do now.
No, now we're being mean. Now we're being mean.
But the tickets for A's, I think that one's completely
I kind of like
doable.
that idea. I know. I think that. Well, I know with your prep sports, we started a couple months ago a Scholar Athlete of the Month, and what we do is Ryan Merkin reaches out to all 7 of the schools that we cover, and they nominate athletes, and then with feedback and whatever, then we pick one a month to just for something different. Yeah. And sometimes it may be a star of the team, but this is just another way to recognize. Just the satisfaction of knowing you're the knowing
But
you're our
they got
scholar.
to get the kids in there. It's their team. So
I agree. No, I agree.
Liven it up. Great show, guys.
All right, thanks.
Agreed.
But no, we just wanted to figure out a way to recognize student athletes who aren't maybe the best players on the team, because you write about them all the time. And
right.
And I mean, the purpose is to go to school to get good grades. So, and we've got a sponsor, Midwest One, has helped us. God, I hope that's who it is. I feel bad.
Well, they ain't spending any money here. I know that much.
But Ryan Merkin. Ryan Merkin got this one going, and no, it's just a way to honor. It's a way to recognize academic achievement too, because that's big, and it's, I mean, they get their picture on there, and it's by the sponsor, and it says the scholar, and then we write a story about what, and it doesn't always have to be great students. Like, let's say there's a student that was getting D work and refocused, now they're getting B work. Those are the types of stories we're looking for.
Hello.
I like that last caller idea. I like to expound on it by saying if we're having a losing season, if you're getting a C or below, we force you to go to the game.
All right, you're on a roll today.
I like it.
That was a good one.
And then on his other idea about building on top of the river, let's build on top of the old Capitol, and then they could park underneath, and then they get a tour of the old Capitol every day when they come to a game, and then you're not using up any land. You're on top of the old Capitol, and that seems to me like a better idea than the river. No flooding.
Not well thought out.
The other one was, though.
Yeah.
Actually, that's an interesting idea about building over the
right
river.
Right now, we've basically got the Pentecost coming down, right, for Carver Hawk, for a new arena.
That guy.
Hello.
I got on just late and just listened to Fake Actor. But have you guys discussed, I noticed a lot yesterday, after somebody from Iowa made a big shot, they were too busy, doing their, happy dance to get back on defense. And I noticed Fran got pissed off a couple times.
There was a little of that, yes. I'll excuse
I mean, that
Jordan.
could be a defensive problem too.
Jordan did a little bit of that more than he normally does or should, and I think that was partly he was so relieved to finally be making shots again. But yes, there was some. I just thought there was too much belly aching and too much emotional reaction to what was going on the court. Yes, I would agree.
And I did see a few times when Connor got called for a foul. He doesn't like that.
Oh, he's been like that since high school. I mean, that's how. First game I watched Connor as a freshman, I believe he got a technical. And I remember saying, wow, this kid's got some savvy to him. But sometimes that can work, but sometimes you just got to let the call go and move on. I mean, when you sit there and roll your eyes and look over the bench, all ball, that's counterproductive.
Well, and the ref's not going to change the call.
Oh, you're right, Connor. I'm sorry. Hey, let's change that call. This guy agreed to. I mean, it's just not going to happen. It accomplishes nothing.
Oh, it was all ball. Sorry.
My bad. No, I'm with you, Colin.
It would be interesting if we could somehow figure out after we make a basket and they're down there celebrating how many buckets go and get.
Oh, I'm sure they know. I guarantee you the Iowa coaches have that. Points in transition, what have you. But no, there was a little bit of that yesterday. I noticed Jordan. I mean, Jordan a couple times, he turned and did the keep the arm extended type thing and stood still. And meanwhile, Nebraska's going down court.
Thanks.
Yep. There was a little bit of that. But I will excuse Jordan this one time, though, just because of the circumstances. He had a lot of emotion. What are you looking up, Captain? You got something for us?
No, I got earlier John Bolton said we were going to do an orderly pullout and everything, and it kind of made people feel better. And
doesn't he look like a walrus? Sort of?
And then Trump just came out and said, "No, we're getting the hell out of there." So he just went against Bolton.
Doesn't Bolton kind of look like a walrus?
Little bit.
A smaller walrus. He's got that stash.
He's gonna look like somebody retired.
So
I know.
It's just. I'm trying to ignore it. I don't watch the three channels anymore. I mean, it's just
I gotta do the news.
It's just and you kind of enjoy it too, which is fine.
No,
to each his own.
I gotta do the news.
I would certainly not criticize somebody for wanting to stay politically active.
You like the news.
You like the news. You like
that's
the friction.
What we do is the
you
news.
You like the chaos.
I
you
like the
tension. You like the divisiveness. You like the sensation. Tom?
Yes.
Am I right?
I have never been one to like divisiveness, as Suter knows after 25 years. Shut up, Honor.
Suter's been engrossed on his phone in the show. Have you noticed that?
Yeah,
most
he's
of the
all
show,
pissed off about his prescriptions.
Is that what's going on now?
No, Southern Justin posted a picture from when we all went down to have their
So we're doing a radio show, and he's on the thing with
Southern Justin.
Yeah. And he misspelled Mazios.
But I think there's part of you that there's a part of you that enjoys this political climate. Wouldn't you agree?
No, I would agree. No, I'm not enjoying it. I just
have figured out a way to have fun with it, I guess.
To monetize it. No, this is what we do. It's like Suter comes in, well, you broadcast the news and I got to turn it off. What do you want me to do in the morning? I can't ignore it. We do the news.
You can't. I'd start just playing some really good. Instead of talking politics today, we're going to play Led Zeppelin 2. I bet you got your.
Ever going to play Led Zeppelin 2 as long as I am.
What would your listeners say to either politics or Led Zeppelin 2, Tom?
I don't know. Depends on the listener.
I'm not going against four.
Well, we don't do album rock.
Yeah, we don't do album rock, and I'm not going against four classic rock stations, even though they are playing ridiculous cuts. Absolutely ridiculous.
And we've been number one in the morning for a long time, so I think we got the format.
Who's playing ridiculous cuts?
100.7 is playing Crap Now from the Cutting Crew. I Just Died in Your Arms. It's supposed to be classic rock. And then you got...
You could play that. That's 80s, the Cutting Crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do play that.
I was going to say, that's right up your alley.
Yeah, but they shouldn't be playing it.
Why should... Oh, because they're supposed to be playing Led Zeppelin 2.
Yes.
That's right.
And instead of they're playing the Cutting Crew.
Yeah.
Yes.
What the hell?
And then you got Smart FM playing just novelty songs.
What about Hungry Like the Wolf?
Huh?
My name is Rio, and
I hate
it's only words I know. Anytime I do my Duran Duran,
she dances on the sand.
I would leave that concert 3 minutes before they're done.
I would too. And we have a caller waiting through this, don't we?
Yeah. Hello.
You're doing an online poll. I'll take Led Zeppelin 2.
Okay, there's our first vote. Let's do an online poll. We're gonna force.
But you got to get rid of the captain. Can you do that as well?
Well, he's been trying to get rid of himself for the last 5 years.
Trying.
Have you been listening to the show?
How much you got in your checkbook?
Every day it's a plea to get me out of here. You're like Andy Dufresne.
If you got $1 million plus in your checkbook, I'm out of here.
You're like Andy Dufresne. You just haven't dug your hole yet. I actually watched the end of that last night. Probably for like the 200th time in my life, and it never disappoints. The end of Shawshank Redemption.
It's on all the time.
It is.
It was on 3 channels.
But it never gets old.
But it was on 3 channels this weekend.
Tommy Lang just sent this to me. It looks like David Montgomery has declared for the draft.
Okay.
For Cyclones.
Hello.
Good morning, you guys. Happy 2019. It's Southern Justin.
Hi, Southern Justin. How the hell are you?
Pretty good. I tell you what, Christmas and New Year's Eve went by really fast.
Sure did.
How do you spell Mazzios?
Mazzios.
Yes. You misspelled it in your Facebook. You had it ending in Z.
Are you wasted?
I'm happy it's 2019. What are we going to do for 2019?
Party. We're going to party. I don't know. I mean, aren't we?
We're going to party.
We basically decided that we're going to spend most of this year partying.
And we're going to
speedballing.
We will be coming down for another Mazzios pizza buffet one of these days.
Yeah, somebody.
And he'd like you to set up the speedball.
Yeah,
maybe this time, maybe Captain Steve would come. You think?
No.
He will only come if you agree to speedball.
Yeah, if you speedball right now on the air.
No, Steve's got to work that day.
Yeah, I got to work. I got a big meeting.
Well, maybe someday he'll come down.
No, maybe. Yeah, I'll tell you what. You know, I've been doing this a long time. If your boss would ante up a grand, I would come down.
So $1,000 to get Steve down.
$1,000. And then for me to come down, it'll be $1,000 and $2 more. $2 additional dollars.
1,002?
1,002. I'm there.
Sounds good to me. Well, happy 2019 to you guys.
Are you gonna go?
2019 lunch venues for today.
Are you gonna go tell them? I need 1,000.
I will. I'll tell them that.
You want it in cash, right? Not a check.
No, I can't do
cash. You want it in 20s.
I have to have it in
20s. Back like you were back when you were dealing on the
unmarked bills.
Back when you were dealing on the riverbase, right? Is that what
consecutive? Consecutive.
All right,
just cash.
Yeah, just cash. No take check.
Wait. Right, those are what I love. Right, that's what I love. Where Tom's not going to say a word, you're not saying anything. There's nothing coming out anywhere.
Yeah.
We got 4 people on the radio and not one's talking.
There you go.
That is good stuff.
Well, today for City High in Iowa City, they'll be having mini turkey corn dogs with Philly steak on bun, cheese pizza crunchers, ranchero beans, baby carrots.
Grow up.
Hash browns, potatoes,
I love hash
tidbits, banana and romaine blend salad. Burlington Elementary, a beef burrito, corn, garden salad, and a whole orange. At Burlington Elementary, at Burlington Middle School, as my daughter would be having a beef burrito, corn, garden salad, and a whole orange. Burlington High School, chicken nuggets, sweet potato fries, corn, garden salad, a whole pair. In Burlington, Notre Dame Lackey's chicken nuggets, sweet potato fries, corn, garden salad, and a whole orange.
I gotta retire.
And not to watch menus on the mighty 1630 KCJJ.
All right.
I want that $1,000, and I'll come down.
I'm hungry.
I am too.
I'm now hungry.
I'll let him know.
All right.
Okay, let him know.
I don't think he likes it when we interrupt when he's But those carrots have been baked.
I know.
At some point, they
At
have to
your
grow.
age.
At some point, the carrots have to. What do you got going on now, Tom?
I'm looking at the amount of calories in a hot beef sandwich.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not sure why, but
because Southern Justin's call made me hungry.
Oh, all right.
And made me, for some reason, start thinking about a hot beef sandwich. And they're not that bad.
Hello.
Where can you go get a good hot beef sandwich?
Good hot beef sandwich. You can get one in Midtown.
Okay.
Every other Friday, you can get one at Hilltop.
Hilltop. They've been a big sponsor for All Hawkeyes.
Oh, Hilltop is real good.
Yeah, she's Linda. Was that did the ghost just call in and say Justin sucks?
Yes.
Go say it's Justin.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Does Justin hate the ghost?
I don't know.
We don't know. He does.
I don't know. Hello? Oh, nobody's on.
Well, it wouldn't matter. We make them wait anyway.
A ghost caller.
Some of the stuff we make our callers wait through is incredible. Wouldn't you say?
That's all right.
Have we covered everything? Let's see. Women's game tonight. Big game against Wisconsin. National championship. Wrestling picks up, this weekend, I think? They've been off for, I'm not sure when the next.
The men play Northwestern on Wednesday.
Northwestern on Wednesday at 8:05. 8:05, Captain. That's not a good time. It's an hour too late. 7 o'clock to me is perfect starting time.
What kind of crowds are they getting this year at Northwestern? Do you have any idea?
Not sure.
I haven't
It
watched
really
it
looks
yet.
neat, though. The new design looks neat. And so, yeah, that's a big game. Iowa needs to win that game. I mean,
Yes, they do.
If they win that game, like we said, they're 2-3, and they're looking at 500. Because I do think they can beat Ohio State here. I really do. I don't think they can beat Ohio State there, and they play there at the end of the year. So they need to win these games. They need to. They've already lost one Big Ten game at home. They need to go at least. I think to do anything special this year, they're going to have to go no worse than 8-2, 7-3 at home in the conference.
I would agree.
And I don't know.
And we've already lost one.
I know. I already lost one. So we shall see. But well, thanks again to Coach P for coming on and giving us the analytics. You know, I meant to ask him because I've had some people reach out to me. I'm not really comfortable asking him if he gets paid. But there probably are people that make their full-time living, make good money, doing strictly analytics for.
Absolutely, there are.
I'm sure there are. And
Sure there are.
That's an interesting thing. I mean, that's and I'd be next time we have him on, I may ask him not about him specifically, but about people younger that are doing this for a living, because I think that's a big part of it. I think a lot of coaching staffs rely on this stuff now.
Well, I know Coach Ferentz.
Oh, he uses
getting deep in it.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think some of it does work. So, good show today. A lot of fun, Captain. What do you think? You're just over there laughing.
I want to hear some butt, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, can you play that? So is butt sweat? Is it butt sweat, or is it butt sweat one word and tears? Okay, that's even better. I like that even better.
Oh, so it's not butt, comma,
no,
sweat.
It's butt, sweat, and tears, which for some reason I like that better.
Well, either way, it's terrific.
Would they have to get permission from Blood, Sweat, and Tears for that name?
Not if they make it one word. If they would have separated.
They would have to, right?
Yeah.
Very
I would
clever.
think.
I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think so.
You don't think that's similar enough?
I don't think you can do that.
Wasn't that copyright?
If they did blood, sweat, and tears.
No, but if they do butt, sweat, and then, you got...
So you think just changing blood to butt is enough to...
I do.
And you
I
don't
think it would be okay.
I don't know.
Well, you could have the Deedles with a D. That's only one letter.
Why did they call themselves the Beatles?
Why are you opposing?
Does it have something to do with the word beat?
Yes, it does.
A lot of people, you do realize a lot of...
Why did he misspell that?
You do realize that a lot of people...
Why did he end it with a Z?
But you do realize a lot of people think the Beatles are named after a bug.
Well, they're not.
No, they're
But
not,
some
not
people,
spelled like that.
I know, but some people think that.
Although it's a little bit of a play on Buddy Holly and the Crickets. I mean, it's a little bit, but they'd spell
But with
it
the
with an
word,
A.
but with beat, like the
Yes.
beat of music.
That's right.
All right.
You got it.
What's the first song we're going to hear going into?
I have no idea because I don't know.
I'm
what
guessing it's going to be
I
Maroon.
believe we're canceling.
It'll be Maroon 5 or Mindy Perry or
Mindy Perry.
Tom Swift. Oh, wait, no, I went to high school with a Tom Swift.
Hello.
It's lonely old Grandpa Dirk, and I can't believe I have to call in with this bit of trivia. The Beatles took their name as a tribute to Buddy Holly.
That's what he
That's
just
what
said.
I just
and
said.
The Crickets.
He
I
just
just
said
said
that.
that.
Dirk, do you listen to us or do you just...
The delay is...
Yeah. Tom just said it.
Hey, you like the way the stream now is? It's fluid instead of jerky.
I never noticed the jerkiness before.
Jerky sounds good.
There's a lot of jerky.
No,
I like beef jerky.
I don't mind it. Sometimes it hurts your teeth. It does. Sometimes it just hurts.
Well, you thought your call was going to elevate things here, Dirk?
No, I didn't. I feel badly that the delay has
That's okay.
Once again put me behind the 8 ball. But, hey, let's leave a little bit of time for Fake Dirk to call in and light.
You already did.
I heard that, too. All right.
All right.
Dave.
Thanks, man.
I think we're about done.
I think we've had
the
it.
show has hit its expiration date.
This is, again, a million plus gets me out of here. Hello.
You're a effing dumbass knucklehead.
Well, I think that's got to be it, doesn't it?
God, the phones are just ringing. Why is it whenever we want to leave, they start calling?
Hello.
Hey, it's boring old stupid Dirk. Did you guys hear? Did you guys hear Elvis died?
Oh my God. We'll end on that one.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody.
Thanks to Donnie Patterson. Thanks to Adam Haluska. Thanks to everybody. AllHawkeyes.com. Get your subscription this day.
1-800-800-ROSE. 1-800-800-ROSE. Your FTD florist is the only number you need to know to send flowers anywhere in the country or Canada from anywhere in the country. 1-800-800